Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad, and today is a special episode as it features a person who, and if you allow me to put this up here on the screen, a person who was not only heavily involved in the effort to kick Trump out of office as he was when I met him in New York 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago. This young man has been engaged in an effort to improve the lives of people dealing with autoimmune disease. He's taken his pain and he's turned it into a passion to do his purpose, as the late, great Elijah Cummings once said of him. He's a patient advocate seeking assistance from both celebrities and politicians alike. He is a wonderful, wonderful, selfless guy, and I am very lucky to have him here today. Please welcome my friend, Peter Morley. Peter,
Uh,
welcome to the show.
uh, I'm a little lump in my throat. Thank you. That was
Don't ever
very.
clamped on me, young
I
man.
thank you. That was beautiful. I love that you used the word young. So thank you for that. And it's such a pleasure to be here with you and your audience. And you are one of the first people that I encountered on Twitter. You inspired me. I was such a small account, probably less than 1,000 followers. I was probably following more people than were following me. I didn't know what the hell I was. I still don't know what I'm doing on Twitter.
I remember that. That was here. That was that night. That's when we
Yeah,
met.
this was like way before then though. We were like this that was October 2017 or September
Yeah.
2017, and I think I'm talking about like right when Trump was inaugurated
Oh,
in
in 2016, the year
January.
before that. Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I, like, what am I supposed to do on Twitter? Like, and you said, just use your voice, like, use your voice, speak to what you know. And I did. I mean, you inspired me to do that. And, I've been doing that ever since, now you can't shut me up.
Now, I need to extend some congratulations to you, Mr. Morley, as you are
Uh,
now Twitter verified. I want to say congratulations on your Twitter verification. Do you feel taller? Do your tweets feel more sparkly?
um, it's, and by the way, first, before I respond to that, congratulations to you as well. We both have been in the last year verified,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
I'm not,
That whole thing.
it, but it's, I mean, we both kind of came up from that, you know, the whole Trump thing,
We started from the bottom. Now we're here.
and we're here. We're here. Uh, it's it feels a little anticlimactic, but one of the reasons that I thought was really important for me to be verified, as you know, there's definitely more of a risk to your account when you're not verified. I have so much documentation on Twitter. I've created like well over 100 hours of content specifically for Twitter, uh,
Mhm.
all my information, and I've seen other big accounts lose uh, their access to their accounts, and I was afraid of that happening. So I'm really grateful, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to be hacked anytime soon. I just hope. I mean, getting to be blue verified isn't going to change what I've done or what I'm going to do in the future, and it's I'm the same person. So I'm
It was a very big deal, Peter, as I recall. Like the half of the Twitter community came out in support of you and
they
said, "Hey,
did.
what's your problem?"
They did. I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful, and honestly, I don't know why I was verified, but I can say that everybody who supported me and amplified that through Twitter, that engagement is from what I understand is what they look at. And
Well, I think the reason you were verified, finally verified, is because you do great work. You
thank you.
know, you are heavily involved in improving the lives of other people, and that's verified, that's verifiable. And you've done it. You have so many celebrities and politicians in your corner, which I will get to in a minute. I do want to get to that, but first I want to ask you, what is the meaning behind your Twitter handle, more than my SLE?
Well, I really appreciate you bringing that up because SLE is the official medical term for the type of lupus that I have, which is also known as systemic lupus erythematosus, which I kind of mispronounce all the time. But
I just learned that from you the other day.
I mean, most people call it lupus, but there's cutaneous lupus, which just affects the skin. Mine is an internal lupus, but um, with lupus, you're either in remission, which doesn't mean like with cancer, like with when you're in remission from cancer, like you're cancer free. I mean, I'm not lupus free. When I'm in
But you
remission,
beat
it means that
cancer
I'm not
twice, though,
having.
right?
I'm sorry.
You beat cancer twice, didn't you?
I did beat cancer twice. I mean,
It's
lupus.
incredible.
Thank you, thank you. And lupus. I'll address the lupus just so your listeners who don't understand about lupus. I mean, it's an autoimmune disease in which the immune system attacks its own tissues, causing widespread inflammation and tissue damage in the affected organs. Now, people either have mild, moderate, or severe forms of it. Some people have some people live with it and don't even know it. Most of the population of people with lupus are women, and I still get the question a lot. You have lupus, isn't that a women's disease? But it's actually 90 to 95% of the population of people with lupus, and there are about 1.5 million Americans in the United States with lupus. I am one of those 5 to 10% men in the United States that do suffer from this. But I have nothing to do with lupus. Even before I was diagnosed with lupus, I was diagnosed. I had several spine surgeries, which rendered me disabled. I fell off a ladder in my apartment, and I mean, they're called failed spinal fusions. And then I was going to have a major reconstructive surgery in my back, and I had an incidental finding of kidney cancer. And I mean, I'm just grateful to be here because if kidney cancer is they usually don't find it until it's in its late stage, and then it's too late. But they found it during a CAT scan that was supposed to be a pre-surgical thing for the reconstruction on my back, which I unfortunately never had that surgery. But they found that I had kidney cancer, and it was stage 1, but it was a very aggressive cancer. And
So if you hadn't fallen off that ladder, they
yeah,
wouldn't have cancer.
I would have been dead because I probably would never have known until, sorry to be graphic, until you're urinating blood.
You can get graphic
It's
here.
usually when you know, yeah. So, but yeah, I have said that before. It's interesting that you brought that up. I have said that. It's just it's very strange. The universe has its own plan for you. But yeah,
It does.
it
It
does.
does. And so, speaking of the universe having a plan, this is your new Twitter verified
Yes.
page right now, and there's a picture of you up there with the late great Elijah Cummings. I saw that video where he said that to you. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
So
And
I wouldn't even need uh, a resume after that. I would just bring a video clip. Here, this is what Elijah Cummings said about me. Hire me. Um, you recently suffered a loss not too long ago of your dear Natasha. And I do recall, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
thank
I know
you.
it must hurt because we're a pet family. We have a dog and two cats, and that's family right there. I do understand you now have a new love in your life.
I do. I do. And, I never, people had asked me with Natasha, they asked, I mean, first of all, this is, it's so difficult keeping up with your own Twitter page that to create another account for your dog, I mean, is it's a lot. But
It's Anjelika the dog is her Twitter,
Anjelika
right?
the dog, and with a J, and this is the Russian way to spell it too. And Natasha was named after Natasha, the Russian spy from
From the Avengers.
Natasha,
Oh,
from
that one.
Bullwinkle.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I wanted to kind of honor Natasha, so I named Anjelika because you normally spell with a G and a C, but now I can call her Jelly for short. That's her nickname. And
I actually saw that on her Twitter page there. It says, I respond to hashtag jelly. And
yes,
she's sitting at almost 7,000 followers.
she is. And
Wow.
I saw, well, she told me that she had a new follower named Brooklyn Dad, and did I know who he was? I follow him back. And I said, yeah, you can follow him back.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss any of the updates from Miss Anjelika. I do have a clip here I'd like to play for our viewers here.
What are you doing, Anjelika? You like the snow? You like the snow? Ah, look at you.
She's adorbs. She's kind of quiet now. I know, and she's in the back.
She is quiet. She's sitting right here. She's I'll pick her up as we progress. But she responds to her name very well. So her head got lifted. So.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about you see this picture here with you in that mask, which is a fantastic mask.
Thank you. Thank you. That's my fall collection.
What has COVID been like for you, being immunocompromised? Do you take additional precautions that other people don't necessarily have to?
Yes. I mean, COVID in the beginning was a living nightmare because if you recall in the beginning, and still some doctors still prescribe this, but hydroxychloroquine is one of the major types of medication that I take for lupus. Now, it's proven to be, the efficacy for lupus patients is proven, even though it was created as an anti-malarial drug. It has secondary, sorry to compare, the only analogy that I can think of is Viagra, that was a heart medication that, helped some men. Anyway, but sorry, I just couldn't think of any other medication. But it's, it wasn't created for lupus patients. As a matter of fact, I self-inject myself with a medication called Benlysta once a week, which I take. But getting back to the hydroxychloroquine, in the beginning, I couldn't fill my medication and I had to go without. So my doctor said, start cutting your medication, just so it could last longer. And I mean, it was coming to a point where I ran out of my medication for a week. And, the bizarre thing is then, like, Rolling Stone and USA Today are like reaching out to me and asking me to talk about it. Senator Doug Jones at the time, because what President Trump did, I don't even like calling him, what Donald Trump did was he hoarded the medication, I mean, there's so much, I don't even want to go into this. There's so many theories about this. I mean, the ambassadors.
I remember seeing tweets that you posted where you were talking about having to ration out
Yes.
your hydroxychloroquine. And I thought, holy shit. I mean,
yeah, it's frightening. It was frightening. So that specifically, and it's not just for lupus patients, it's people with RA and Sjogren's and other autoimmune diseases, they depend on it too. So I was hearing from every community. And fortunately, being a patient advocate, I was able to reach out to people like the wonderful Andy Slavitt and other people who made sure that my voice was heard. And it was about a month until things kind of freed up a little bit. They weren't hoarding it, but they still were pushing it. It was like I was the watchdog for every time, it was only Fox News that were pushing it with Dr. Oz or the other doctor, Dr. Phil, the doctors,
quack
yes.
doctors. Yeah.
I'm sure Oprah didn't, that wasn't what she wanted to do. I can't speak for Oprah, but I don't think that's what she envisioned. She seems a lot more compassionate than that. So there seemed like there was some monetary thing going on with that. All I could say is the ambassador to who I've met before to the UK, I don't think he still was Woody Johnson, who Trump appointed because they were friends.
Was it the same Woody Johnson from the Jets? That Woody Johnson?
The one who is also the son of Johnson Johnson, or the grandson.
Right.
So, same Woody Johnson, who I met him during a lupus panel at his foundation, at the Johnson Foundation in Midtown, and he gave me a whole bunch of Jets pencils. So. It was very nice to me. His daughter has lupus, and that's how he was involved with that. But it always seemed very fishy to me, and I did make sure to let every member of Congress that I spoke with, I made that connection for them, because I'm like, you want a connection, look into that, do some oversight on that, because that seems a little suspect. But as a patient and as somebody, who's immunocompromised, and the caregivers of people that are immunocompromised, and everybody, every essential worker, I mean, in the beginning of COVID, I mean, we didn't know how transmissible it was, or what we were doing, what was best to protect ourselves. I mean, we were, I was living with my partner at the time, and unfortunately we've broken up since then. But he was an essential worker. He worked for the MTA and still works for the MTA. And, he would come down, spray him down, jump in the shower, just this whole protocol thing. And, we escaped COVID for a year, but, and you asked, as a patient, it's terrorizing for me to go into hospitals, because a lot of my doctors, I see 17 different doctors, take 38 different medications a year. And
you're not exaggerating about how many different doctors. You say 17 different doctors?
17 different doctors. A lot of, I have to see certain doctors because of lupus, and just to keep it in check. But I have so many different pre-existing conditions in addition to lupus. I have liver disease. I have lots of things that would just take way too long to get into. I think I listed them on Twitter once. I think it took 2 tweets, but it's such a listen, I'm so grateful for my coordination of care, because that's really the thing that keeps me alive. But as a patient going into a hospital, when you have such narrow corridors and elevators with other people, I've I've gone without seeing my doctors. Fortunately, telehealth has been wonderful. I've heavily relied, as a lot of other people in the community have relied on telehealth, but there's just certain doctors that, when you need blood work, or if you need,
can't telehealth that. Yeah, no.
You can't. So I will only see my doctors when absolutely necessary. And I have my primary doctor who is close to my apartment, and he wasn't seeing any patients at the time, and he was very kind enough to see me. And I appreciated that.
Peter, let me ask you, how did you get into patient advocacy?
Well, we could thank Twitter.
Did Miss Maloney have anything to do with that?
I tweeted at her because I had called her office a couple of times. So I'm like, well, let me try tweeting at her, because, of course, I support her and my two senators, our senators, they're your senators too, Senator Schumer and Gillibrand, because they voted for healthcare and supported healthcare. But I tweeted at her, and I got a DM. Would I be interested in doing a press conference, which was like the next day? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, that's basically how it happened. It was that quick. It was in July of 2017. And literally I was like kind of thrust into that. It was picked up by like local news. And then 2 weeks later was the Votorama for the skinny repeal, as it was called at that time.
Wait, yeah. Was that the John McCain?
Yes. And my birthday is July 26th. This is how I remember this. I could, like, the news, John McCain had come back. He had major health issues at the time, but he came back for the I can never say this word, cloture vote. And they moved the bill, and he voted yes to that. So moved the bill to keep the discussion going. Mm-hmm. So the day after my birthday, July 27th, was the Votorama in the Senate, where they're just like on the floor all day. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to DC, and I've never been to DC before, not even on a school trip. So I'm going to go to DC, and I'm just going to walk in and out of Senate offices and just speak to whoever listens. So that's what I did. I just did it. And my friend, Mika Fernandez, who is an attorney, she offered she works out of DC, and she offered to kind of escort me around. And I was so appreciative for that. It's one person who believed in me. Congresswoman Maloney and I made a video, a Periscope, which no longer exists. And we, just about how this is horrible. And I kept going back to Senator McCain's office. And I went there 3 times because I felt, he was really the deciding vote, because Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski, as you remember, were saying they were going to vote no to the skinny repeal, but we needed one more no. And it wasn't going to come from any other Republican except John McCain. So I went to his office at about 5:15 on July 27th, and I met with one of his staffers, and I started to tell my story. And I told my story all day about my health issues and why this is important to me. And the staffer started crying, and I said, that was the first time anyone's cried. And I'm like, oh, and she said, I'm so sorry. I'm here to listen to you, but my best friend has lupus, and she had to leave DC, and she's someplace where she doesn't have really good medical care. And I gave her a number of a hotline where she could, try to find doctors in her area. And she was so appreciative. We had a lovely conversation.
You were there for her. You were there. Yeah, I mean, she just needed some help, and you just reached out to her.
It's a human response, right? Like you're speaking. I mean, when I go into an office, I don't think of it as Democratic or Republican, although the energy is different. It's definitely different. But I'm not combative, because what happened after that day, first of all, I went home fully expecting the ACA to be repealed. Honestly, I slept because it's very difficult to travel. Lupus makes you very fatigued. That's for me, at least, it's the main. So if I overdo it, I could trigger a lupus flare, and it probably did at that time. I don't recall that, but I slept really late, and my friend Mika had texted me, and she said, "You did it. You saved the ACA." And I'm like, "What?" And I turned the TV on, and I saw and I'm like, but no. There are millions and millions of healthcare advocates did it. And everyone who spoke out, you spoke out, many people spoke out. That's what did it. I'm glad to have had that conversation with John McCain's office. And it was because of that trip that people started sending stories to me. They started DMing. My DMs were like out of control. I had to create a website with a portal. I created morethanmysle.com, and people send me their stories there. Mm-hmm. And I've taken well over thousands of stories at this point to DC. I've spoken, at the time, I mean, I spoke with Speaker Ryan's office. I spoke with Leader McConnell's office. I mean, I've been in every office except for Rand Paul's office, because there's a sign on his door that says, if you want an appointment, you have to call this number, which nobody ever picks up, by the way. So I've never been in Rand Paul's office, but I have seen him many times. But he won't speak to me. But that's okay. That's okay.
Fake ass doctor. Rand Paul is a fake doctor. It's like him. Let me ask you about all of those politicians and celebrities. Like, look, you're here with Katie Porter.
And she surprised me, I have to say. I was sitting in that chair where I have my book, but I call it book bags. I still think I'm in high school. Ayanna Pressley.
Ayanna Pressley. How did you meet all of these people? Did you? I mean, because this one, I don't. This one looks like you're out by a cafe or something. You're outside.
Actually, that's her Boston office. Last summer, I made a trip with my friend Rachel Brody, and we went. We have something called Healthcare Awareness Month, which is a resolution still going through, I believe, the Energy and Commerce Committee, that my Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney brought to the House floor. And when I testified for Elijah Cummings, Congresswoman Pressley is on that committee, so she heard my story, and I have stories from her district, and she wanted to meet with me personally. And I'll tell you, I was down there the day that Elijah Cummings passed away, and I had a meeting with Congresswoman Pressley, and it was very, very. I mean, that was a very, very sad day. I mean, that. It was sad. I was there for 2 days, and it was, I can remember it's October 16th and 17th of 2019. And I remember we were filming, and she kept breaking down and crying because such a mentor to her. She's such a wonderful, such a fierce woman. It's very hard for me to travel. So for me to travel to Boston, I wanted to prove a point, because when
you travel, do you bring? It now would be Anjelika, but before it would have been Natasha. Do you bring them with you?
I didn't. I only brought Natasha once because she would be a distraction. I never really thought, but Natasha was getting older, so I wanted to bring her once to at least she smells DC on me when I get back for whatever that's worth. So she knows like I'm going to DC. Yes.
Look at you, Adam Schiff over here.
That was a lucky meeting in the cafeteria, in the Rayburn cafeteria. That was that was another. We met in the rotunda.
Amy Klobuchar.
And I just walked up to her. Well, she said, "Peter Morley, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, she knows who I am." That was pretty cool. That was
Actually, Peter, I downloaded this very cool video that our mutual friend Red T Raccoon Ted put together. Let me just hit play on this and share this with our viewers. That is a hell of a video. Hell of a video.
Still, I mean, the Ted did that as like it was so meaningful. Like he surprised me with it, and he did and tweeted it, and I was just so honored and so touched because Ted is, as you probably know, he and I, he's come with me to DC. I've gone to DC 32 times between that first trip and March 5th, 2020 was my last trip. I actually went down there. That I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But Ted has gone with me at least 10 times, and he's advocated for veterans, and we've become such close friends. He asked me to be his daughter's godfather. So that's how close we are. That's what Twitter has done for me. And Anjelika is now is awake, and she wants to say hello.
Jelly.
Look.
My own dog, our dog Rain. She like if I'm video chatting with my wife and she holds the phone up to Rain doesn't pay any mind.
Oh yeah, she watches TV with me. I taught Natasha to, when she saw a dog to bark at it, and then she generalized it to every animal, and including cartoon animals and animated animals. So it was like it was a nightmare. So I will never teach her to bark. Yeah,
you need to unteach her that. Listen. It is now time, my friend. I explained we have little segments of the show, right? It is time for a segment that I like to call quick hits. Yeah, you son
Never
of a.
get tired of seeing that.
All right, quick hits. Um, First up, this Florida Don't Say Gay bill. Um, right wingers seem to feel like we are overreacting to the Don't Say Gay bill. Like, oh, what's the big deal? You didn't even read the bill. But it sure doesn't feel like it was designed to make little LGBTQ kids feel safe and welcome. What's your spin on that?
Well, I will just speak from my own experience as a gay teenager in the 1980s, going to the LGBTQ center here in New York and being scared to death of people seeing me go in and come out because they would have, I'll use a nicer term, gay bashers. So I would be scared of leaving and having people beat me up for even going into the center. That was the mindset. That was the acceptable mindset at that time. So to see a bill like this come out when things have become more progressive is a huge leap backwards, and we are not overreacting. If anything, I think we're underreacting.
Yeah. Well, they say that it's only going to affect kindergarten. I'm just searching my memory for the thing I read on Twitter. It's only affecting kindergarten to third grade or something, but it was never a thing where they were teaching kindergartners about sex. Period. No. Let alone any kind of sex.
It's I mean, I remember having a crush on a boy in the first or second grade, and this just I mean, it's kind of a normal thing. So to really to teach or to feel like you can't talk about that, like I felt I couldn't talk about that. Like I felt it was wrong at that time. It's a whole different
completely different era when we were growing up. It was very different. It's supposed to, like you said, we're supposed to be in the progressive era now. You shouldn't have to be afraid. You shouldn't have to live in a closet. You shouldn't be afraid to be who you are.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And it saddens me, but I'm grateful for the youth of this country who are speaking out, and the Gen Zs, they're fierce, and I'm grateful for them, and I support them, and we need to do what we need to do, but we need to make some good trouble.
Yeah, I'd like to think that was a major technical mistake on the part of conservatives in Florida and Texas. They're doing stuff like that in Texas too.
Yeah,
you're basically giving us a thing to rally around.
Yeah, no, I mean, their purview on this, they don't look at it like that, and it's very. I don't even know what to say without using a four-letter word. It's disgusting, and like I said, if anything, we are under-responding, if that's a word. I'm glad people are speaking out, but this just can't happen. We can't go back.
Agreed. And forgive me for I hate picking up my phone while I'm in a conversation. But if I didn't mute that, it would be buzzing throughout our whole chat. So where was I here? Matt, so we were talking a little while ago about how it was for you dealing with COVID and being immunocompromised.
Yeah.
Now that we're entering a phase where mask mandates are being lifted, around the country, and it looks like we're moving from pandemic to endemic.
Right.
Where does that leave you? How does this affect you? This change now towards lifting of mask mandates.
Well, I mean, I did just like broke like literally before we spoke that they are keeping the mask mandate on air travel, and I believe public transportation too. I don't know if they're going to leave it up to the states to decide that, probably. But like air travel will continue to have masks. But how does that leave me? It leaves me feeling like I feel betrayed by our government. I feel that they don't care. I don't feel for the disability population, the immunocompromised population, having to ask for a seat at the table instead of having a seat at the table is very unsettling. I support President Biden. I think he's done a wonderful job considering what he had to deal with and clean up after Donald Trump. But this whole thing with the CDC, I sent a tweet out about I wanted people to share their stories about how they felt about it too. So
I did catch some of this conversation here with the hashtag COVID's not over.
And I would love to talk to her, because I don't really think she understands. It's either she doesn't understand or this is about money. But it's just either way. There's somebody, I think it was Diana Barrett, who oh my gosh, and now I can't think of her organization. Sorry, Diana. The COVID. She's a long COVID advocacy group, and she's just amazing. But she said it best, that she's not immunocompromised, but she wouldn't want to, like be asymptomatic and give it to somebody who was immunocompromised. And that's really the best. That is not being considered anymore. It was being considered a while ago. Now it doesn't seem to be considered anymore. So it really feels like we're being left to die. So I can't say it any plainer than that.
So you think that these mask mandates are being lifted too soon?
Yes.
Or are they not giving enough consideration to communities that are at risk?
I think it's both.
You have to factor in everybody, not just the immunocompromised, but the people who are not immunocompromised. And
here's the thing about COVID. I mean, I get it. It's been 2 years. It's like I live with illness that I'll live with for the rest of my life, and I've accepted it. I'm fine with it. COVID's going to take as long as it's going to take. It may never go away, fully. But the thing is, how about we live with we just had a huge surge. Like, how about we live a little bit? How about we live a little bit until things have gone down for several months instead of just a month. It's just too soon.
Too soon.
It's too soon.
I seem to recall several times when it felt like we got over the hump.
Right.
And then, what was it? The Delta.
Right.
Delta Plus came, and then the Omicron came. And there's going to be something behind Omicron.
Yeah, there's, the British, the one in the UK, I think it's BA2. I think that's
right. Yeah.
They've lifted mandates and the cases are going up again there. And, it's just like we've lived through this. So it feels like Groundhog Day. And it's like, people are ringing the bells and trying to warn people. And it's just like, you really want to go through this again?
I feel lucky that I haven't gotten COVID yet. I mean, knocking on wood,
Yeah.
because I am
Listen,
superstitious.
you know, God bless you, because I had it last February in 2021, and it is horrendous. It's really bad, and I didn't have even a moderate case. I had what was considered a mild case, and it is like the worst flu you could ever imagine.
How long did you have it for?
Like almost a month altogether. I mean, I had temperature for 2.5 weeks. It was awful. I mean, there was one night, I don't know if your parents did this for you when you were young, but they used to, when you had a high temperature, they used to use rubbing alcohol. Like, I have all that rubbing alcohol from COVID. Yeah. So I poured rubbing alcohol over, because I had like 103 fever.
Just pour it on.
I just poured it on. I just did. I poured it. I was out of my mind. I was like, I mean, 103 fever. I was, a little out of my mind at the moment. It worked though. My fever broke. So I mean, for that moment.
I'm glad you're here to joke about it now.
I know. It was really scary.
Everybody's not that lucky. The scary stories that I heard and saw, the videos, people on the ventilator, can't breathe. That's no joke.
It's no joke. It's no joke. And we've had, hundreds of millions of Americans die. And people, not only the immunocompromised community, not only seniors, but normal, healthy people that they said, and children that they said weren't susceptible to it in the same way that people in my community were. So we really, really don't know.
This was another tweet from your thread. I have long COVID and I am concerned. This was you, Peter, saying, CDC director, please listen to us. I hope they listen. I hope so. I hope you're able to somehow arrange a meeting. Maybe having a meeting with the CDC director would be helpful.
I think that I believe, I tell this to people who advocate for other issues, that, I've had people say, they're only one person. My voice, I'm just one person. What difference does it make? But the thing is, Senator Patty Murray told me this. It takes one person to get through. Just one person, one story, and your story could be that one story that changes somebody's mind. And that really, really, I've never forgotten that. On days where I'm in pain or I'm like, I can't do this, I remember that, and I'm like, no, I have to. I've got to do it, because, today could be the day where I make a difference.
That's right. Every day counts. You got to keep plugging forward. And speaking of plugging forward, the folks in Ukraine are plugging forward as best they can. They're trying to continue to evacuate. I believe the number is up to 2.3 million people have evacuated now. As this invasion of Ukraine continues and Russia, becomes increasingly frustrated, while the Western world seems aligned against Putin, are you concerned about it becoming a bigger thing where America is, maybe going toe to toe with Russia? Are you concerned about that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's in my top 5 things of concerns. Absolutely. I don't mean to make light of it. It's very disturbing. I mean, we used to practice like the nuclear bombs and go under your desk or whatever. I mean, used to see things. I mean, I was past that generation, but I mean, it was really, really scary. I mean, people don't remember there was actually a wall between East and West Germany. There were two separate countries, and there was, you just don't know what was behind the Iron Curtain. And
Old enough to remember that. Yeah.
it's like going back again, talk about going backwards, but these, I mean, so many innocent people. I think about that more than anything, more the innocent lives. It's just, it's really just despicable. And I do worry about, it's like, I can't go there. It's like I have to like take every day at a time, and I really pray that this insanity stops. I really, really hope. It's very, very difficult for me to talk about.
He doesn't even seem to have any kind of exit strategy to me.
Yeah.
Like you knew before you even set foot in there that as soon as you set foot into the Ukraine, a hailstorm of sanctions are going to come down upon your head, upon Russia's head, and its economy. And it's, everybody's pulling out. Everybody. Even I just heard an hour ago, China was like, we're not going to send you any more air parts. It's a small thing, but from China's like their big buddy,
it's. I mean, I can't. Anjelika doesn't like it either. I don't understand. Like, I'm not like, I don't understand insanity, and that's what it is for me. It's insanity. It's
indeed. Let us move on with our Q&A. I have some questions from our viewers. And here is, let's see. This is from our friend Jonathan Slater. He wants to know, how did your own battle with disease motivate your actions?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you, Jonathan. Before I fell off that ladder, I had back surgery, and I was in between jobs. I used to work in television. There's some backstory to me. I did television research, and I was in between jobs, and I had to have like a very considerable to my other surgeries. I had to have a procedure on my back, and because I had seen doctors before my healthcare began, it was considered at that time what was called, people who don't know this, a pre-existing condition. And so I know what that's like to owe thousands of dollars. It drives you into debt, and you declare bankruptcy because you just can't pay it. I never want people to be in that position. So that does motivate me. My own dealings with being a pre-existing condition. And if the ACA were repealed, doctors would be allowed to discriminate against you for having a pre-existing condition. And that could be, pregnancy is actually considered a pre-existing condition. It's like the things, acne, I mean, the whole list is just crazy, but they could. So it's like, I've lived my lived experience. Like, I never want to see, like, just with all the anti-LGBTQ stuff going on, it's like, don't turn back the clock. We've made it here. You don't like the ACA, make it better. That's your job to do in Congress, Democrat, Republican, whoever you are. Fix it. Make it better for everyone. Make it more affordable. Make it more accessible. Make it the way you want to make it, but just work together to do it.
To me, it kind of feels like that keeps getting put on the back burner, fixing the ACA. I remember during President Biden's, his speeches and his debates, and how he said, when it came up whether or not we should go to Medicare for all, or if we should deal with what we have,
Right.
improving that. And he kept saying, we're going to improve it. So I would like to see where these improvements come, because if you're not going to improve it, what are you doing?
They
I know he himself is not the guy who's sitting down and hammering out details.
no,
people work for him to do that, right?
No, he does, and this is actually the 1 year anniversary of the American Rescue Plan, and in the American Rescue Plan, they actually wrote in temporary provisions for subsidies and other things to create more accessibility for people in the individual marketplace, and people would have access to it, and it was more affordable. I mean, they had plans as low as $10, which that never happened in the history of the ACA. So the ACA all of a sudden became more popular than ever, but the more long-term plans are in the Build Back Better Act, and that is completely stalled. And that was supposed to have been passed in December, or actually November, but it stalled. And if that doesn't get passed for the midterms, I mean, all those provisions will expire, and there goes the accessibility and affordability progression. So I just wrote something about that yesterday, as a matter of fact, very fresh in my brain. And it's just, this, I don't know why any member of Congress would vote against healthcare. And it's interestingly, from what I understand, when you run for Congress, it's usually the number one issue that you talk about.
Yeah.
You may have different ideas about it, but then when you go to Congress, there are very few members that actually make it their number one issue. Katie Porter, Ayanna Pressley, Lauren Underwood, Carolyn Maloney, and several other members have done just that.
Made it their number one issue.
Yes.
That's great.
And kept their word.
They're
there. And they're there. There are many, 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 many more. I'm just from the top of my head. Yeah. People who actually, my gosh, the lovely woman in Georgia who's lost her son to gun violence, the congresswoman, I can't think of her name. Lovely woman.
Yeah.
I can't, oh my gosh, so embarrassing. But she's a lovely woman. I've met her several times. Lovely person. She is also. But anyway, that's my take on.
Peter, let me ask you the next question from a same viewer, Jonathan Slater, with another one, wants to know, what do you think are the top problems facing the disabled in America today?
Absolutely. COVID and not being heard. I think a lot of people. I think there's still a big disconnect of, we seem to be the forgotten community. I mean, I'm in the chronic illness community, I'm in the disability community, I'm in the lupus community, but not being heard, not having a seat at the table, as I said earlier, I think we're an afterthought. And I, along with millions of Americans, are working to change that. And I think when we do, I think things will get better, but it's not going to happen overnight. But we do need to be part of the policy conversation, not part of the, focus group type conversation. We need to be part of the policy conversation. We need more people from our community part of it. And it's not easy. It's not easy because I can only do so much. And I know
those numbers is a whole process in and of itself. Increasing those numbers of the people that you just mentioned, it doesn't happen by itself or overnight.
It doesn't. And people have to be proactive about it, not reactive. I think if you have an administration that's very proactive of inclusivity, I think that things will change. But not.
I have a picture here of you and our buddy Ted.
That is actually that was taken by Mr. Scottworkin. That was just so that cape was given to me by Lupus Foundation of America, and it's for being a lupus warrior, and that wasn't Ted. I believe that's not Ted's actual uniform. I don't think so. I think it was like from his family. But
that hat. I can't remember what he said about that hat.
Something very special about that hat. But it's such a great moment. This was the storm the Senate. We remember in the beginning of 2020, this group was storming the Senate over was it Amy Coney Barrett? I believe. I don't. God, there's so many things that happened. I don't remember, but they were there every day. So this was January of 2020, and I happened to be in DC 4 days that month, and I went there every day. There was actually like a case of a woman who wanted to sit down in her walker, and she had a seat in her walker. And the Capitol Police were giving her a hard time and saying that they were going to arrest her if she sat down, because it was something about, it was like a policy that they had. And I remember walking, I didn't even think about it. I walked right over to see, like almost to shield her. That was a crazy time. That was a really crazy time. But I remember that picture, and I remember it's just, that's how I feel in my heart. I don't have the strength to be a superhero, but I have the passion to be one. But I wish I had the actual powers where I didn't get fatigued and have all the symptoms. Because I could go longer, I could do more. But I'm amazed at what I've accomplished. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And if I didn't have the support of people like you, and a lot of my followers, people in Congress, I really, and Natasha and my partner at the time, I mean, that's where I get all my energy. And I'm grateful and thankful. And, self-care is very important, and knowing when to take a step back and knowing when you've done too much. It's really something that everybody must know, whether you're in the disability community or chronic illness community. It's very important for mental health.
Indeed. I got a question here from one of our viewers, Alaska Cindy. We refer to her as Alaska Cindy because she's from Alaska. And she says, I am someone who was recently diagnosed with pulmonary sarcoidosis, another autoimmune disease. How were you able to navigate getting appropriate medical care for your lupus?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. And I can't speak to the sarcoidosis community, but for the lupus community, there are organizations that have organizations, and I'm sure there's one for the sarcoidosis community because that affects many Americans. Actually, my stepfather has sarcoidosis, and I would recommend looking into a sarcoidosis foundation. They usually have like free numbers that you can call, and they have like the Lupus Foundation of America has people that you can speak to. They have peer counseling. I mean, there's so many wonderful resources, but I would go to a major foundation for sarcoidosis, and I would start there. And they can help you locate medical professionals in your community that and unfortunately accept your insurance. Hopefully they do. That's the other hindrance to getting quality and affordable medical care, is that you have to it has to be accessible too.
Indeed. And now let's see. Hold on. What do I have here? You took a self-care break from Twitter.
Yeah.
I have a question from Fred. Fred wants to know, you took a self-care break from Twitter back in February. Why did you do this? What had happened?
Well, that was, I was feeling a lupus flare coming on, and there were a lot of emotional things that were happening on Twitter, and it just, the culmination also, having a dog, I have to walk her 3-4 times a day. It's a lot for me. It's just, I really needed to take a step back and just focus on myself, because when I go to Twitter and people reach out to me, like I can't say no. It's like I have to help them. So I needed just to put down, my phone, turn off Twitter on my desktop, and just focus on my health, because if I don't have my health, then I can't help anybody.
That's right.
It's very important to recognize that.
And I hear people say that, but I don't think it gets said enough. I get to that point too, where, enough is enough, and my blood pressure is too high, and I haven't had that blood pressure issue in a while. But yeah, I'm glad you did take that time to take care of yourself. Do you have any Twitter? This question is from me. I want to know if you have any Twitter tips or tricks for our tweets out there to help them improve their Twitter experience. Things that you've learned yourself, like make life easier, maybe it makes a tweet pop better, anything.
I try to engage with my followers as much as I can. Like if I put out a tweet about a healthcare, like I'll make sure to either read them, like them, and if it's a serious tweet, like about the one that I put out about to the CDC director. I mean, those are stories that if the CDC director or one of her staffers are looking at it, they can read the concerns of everybody in that tweet. But engaging with it, I think it also makes that engagement rate for that tweet higher. And I don't know if this is just me, but I think tweeting at like 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night those tweets always seem to do better.
8 o'clock at night?
8 o'clock at night. Yeah.
That's the magic
Eastern
hour.
Time. Yeah, Eastern time. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. Also, for me, TweetDeck, using that app has really helped me organize my tweets. And before Twitter allowed you, because now they allow you to schedule your tweets, but it also helped me schedule tweets. Especially if I feel like I need a day off, but I still need this information to go out. Right. I don't have to be on Twitter to do that. So scheduling tweets are very helpful.
Scheduling tweets through TweetDeck, yes. 8 a.m., 8 p.m., best hours. And I will also add on to that self-care. take care of yourself.
Yes.
Don't spend way too much time on the Twitter to your own detriment, because there's some toxic, horrible people in the Twitter space. We both know this. Right?
And you know, if somebody says something that's inflammatory towards you, I mean, this is what I do. Don't engage. It's best not to engage, because negativity only breeds negativity, and
feed the trolls.
Yeah, and just brings yourself down. And for people in the lupus community, it's just like, don't waste your energy on that. Spend your energy on productive, positive things. And there's nothing positive about, you know, you're not gonna teach them anything. They're not gonna change their mind.
They're engaging you only to piss you off.
Or just to be seen, you know, just because they may have like 10 followers, they just want to engage with you. So they'll say, hey, look, this guy, like, look, he got involved with me, whatever. Just, it's not worth it. If you believe in what you're doing, that should be the only thing that matters, not what anybody says about what you're doing. That what you believe in should be enough.
Too true. I have one more question from this viewer here, who happens to be my wife. And she wants to know, would you ever consider running for any type of office yourself? And if so, which one?
Well, my goodness. Well, first of all, my God, the skeletons in my closet. But, you know, I've seen, you see running for office to do that. Unfortunately, due to my disease and due to my chronic illnesses, I do have over 10 pre-existing conditions, and I am permanently disabled. I'm not able to work. So I would, if
that would be tough.
If I could come back in another life, I would love to run for office. That would be wonderful. If I had like the body like that I had a long time ago. And it's just, I couldn't, like, it wouldn't, even if I had like a staff, it's just, there's no way that it would work. I mean, I would love to, though. I would love to, but honestly, the role of patient advocate has been so gratifying, and I've been able to affect policy and save policy and hopefully, trailblaze, for the future of healthcare in a positive way. So that's enough for me. But it's not the first time I've been asked this, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that people even think that like I would make a good member of Congress. So
I see it like this. You have a unique perspective. You have a unique perspective from whence you came, right? And that whole disabled community, if there was some way to do it in a way that wasn't taxing, physically taxing to you, to your detriment, you know what I mean? If there was a way you could do that, that would be amazing. But you know your body and your needs better than anyone.
And the thing with lupus is that you just don't know, like one day to the next. It's like you wake up and you don't know how you feel. Like I never make plans. Like I tell people if they're getting married, don't invite me because I don't know. Like I don't make long-term plans. I can't plan vacations. I can't plan anything because especially in the age of COVID, I'm not planning any vacations. But
who the hell is planning anything in the age of COVID?
There are people. There are. I've heard, but I don't purposely make plans because, first of all, when I commit to something, I commit to it 100%. And I hate saying no, but I've learned to say no because, you know, it's just, I don't want to disappoint people if I can't go through with it. And I feel disappointed if I have to cancel due to, you know, not feeling well.
Right. All right. Peter, we now have, this is my favorite part of the show. I think I told you about this. This is our guessing game, right? Let me explain to you how this guessing game works. Okay. I am going to sing a few lines
Lord.
of the lyrics to certain songs from the 80s. You told me you were going to let me pick, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do this is slightly different, right? So each time I sing one line of lyrics, you have a chance to stop me. If you know what song it is, you stop me after one line, right? And it'll be just like Wordle, right? It's like hitting the Wordle in your first try. Have you ever played that thing, the Wordle?
I haven't. What is this? Like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, it's a word game, and you know, you have to guess what the 5-letter word is, you know, and they give you 6 tries, right? So if you get it in your first try, you're the luckiest person alive. If it takes you 6 tries, well, you're not so lucky, but you did eventually get it after 6 tries. And if you don't get it after 6 tries, well, that's not the right picture there. If you don't get it after 6 tries, nobody wants anything to do with you.
If I don't get it after 6 tries, as growing up in the 80s and being a huge fan of the music, then they should shun me.
I have faith in you. So here we go. Let me get my lyric sheet here, and I'm gonna try to sing this a little bit slowly so that you do have an opportunity to stop me after 1 line or 2 lines or whatever. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's the first one. A place where nobody dared to
this
know.
is one of my favorite movies of all time, Xanadu.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Olivia Newton-John fan, so I mean, you couldn't possibly have known that. But I mean, that's my go-to movie. Where
holy cow!
It's a great soundtrack. That's because it was written by Jeff Lynne of ELO. I mean, that's just
yeah. That's
love
right.
it.
So you did get that one on the very first line of lyrics. Well done.
I mean, you couldn't, like, seriously.
Okay.
You couldn't have known that, though.
This next one is not going to be as easy, okay? Just so you know.
Okay.
Does she walk? Does she talk? Does she come complete?
Angel in the Centerfold.
Oh!
Big Isle fan. And I met the lead singer, Peter Wolf.
You did get that right. What?
I met the lead singer, Peter Wolf. He's
really?
Right there with the shades. Yep.
Well done.
He was married to Faye Dunaway, by the way. Just some trivia there.
You once again got it. Wait. That was the second. It was the second line. You got it on the second line. Still, I gotta say, I'm not trying to shade our friend Mary Trump, but you're already beating her. You're already beating her performance in the guessing game.
Well, I'm enjoying this, so please.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yep, I'm ready.
Here we go. She'll only come out at night.
Man-Eater.
Oh!
Hall Notes. Love it.
Yes. Man-Eater. And once again,
homoerotic cover of all time.
You got that on the very first try. That is, oh wait, we don't want that one. We want this one. Yeah. On the first line. Okay, so
Keep them coming. I'm enjoying this.
Okay, here's the next one. There's a loving in your eyes all the way.
Karma Chameleon.
Oh!
And your singing is actually really helping me. Dude, right on. Right, yeah, I mean, come on. Culture Club. Yeah. I mean, huge fan.
Well done. Well done, sir. Okay. You're 5 for 5 already. Holy shit. Oh no, 4 for 4. Excuse me. Here's the fifth one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How can I just let you walk away?
Oh, it's Phil Collins, Against All Odds.
Yeah.
I mean, the title has the correct title is something with it's I don't know, but
you had the correct title. You had the correct man, correct singer. Yeah.
I think it's in the parentheses though. It says "Take a Look at Me Now." I think that's actually in parentheses.
I do think you are correct. Okay.
Huge Phil Collins fan. I met him too. Awesome guy.
What? When?
I was an autograph collector in the 80s.
No
I
shit.
used to, I knew.
I should have known that. When I saw all those pictures of you with every politician there is in DC, I said to myself, there's a guy who does not shy away from saying, hey, can I take a picture with you? Because my friends used to make fun of me. I'm the exact same way. They make fun of me. Oh, Majid, he's always getting pictures with the celebrities. And he doesn't care. I don't care.
Well, I mean, if you don't ask, you don't get, right? And I always think this is maybe my only chance to have that opportunity to capture that moment.
You still have that autograph?
I don't, and he signed my Billboard magazine.
Good Lord. Oh, well, I can't say anything because I've gotten Angela Bassett's autograph and I don't have that in anymore. Sad. All right. You ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
I've never seen you looking so lovely as you did tonight.
Lady in Red.
Oh!
I mean, I'm shocking myself. So,
woo!
They used it in so many movies too, and I think the one that it was released so many years before, but I remember them using it in Working Girl.
I don't even remember Working Girl. I remember Harrison Ford was in that. Was that also Sigourney Weaver?
Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffith, and Sigourney Weaver played her mom. Right? I'm sorry.
Harrison Ford is in that too.
He is. He's the love.
I remember that movie.
Melanie Griffith. Great movie. Great movie.
Okay. Now this next one actually doesn't have. Well, it does have lyrics, but I don't know how to sing the lyrics. I do know the music to this though. Okay. Right. Let's see if you know it. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Oh, the final countdown.
The final countdown.
Come on. I mean, that got a huge reboot in that show for the Zeros.
Arrested Development.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You knew exactly what I was talking about. Too.
That's how I know the song.
Oh,
I didn't know.
I remember this song very well from the 80s, but it seemed to be more popular for when it came out with Arrested Development.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's the next one. You were 7 for 7, my friend. 7 for 7. Oh. This has got to be a record. It's a record.
I'm a little scared now.
Here's the next one.
Okay.
Children behave. That's what they say when we're
I think we're
together.
alone now, Tiffany.
Oh my God!
I didn't know that's what she said.
Wow.
I didn't know that was the line. That's what stumped me. I heard the music, but I didn't know that was, yeah, there she is. It was like,
as fast as we can.
did people used to ask you who, like it's like you had to pick, who do you like better, Tiffany or Debbie Gibson? Like that was the whole thing. Like you had to like one or the other. You couldn't like both.
I think I know Debbie Gibson more. I think I could pick her out of a lineup, where I don't think I could pick Tiffany out of a lineup.
No, I probably couldn't either. And I respected Debbie Gibson more because she actually wrote her lyrics and music, which is very ambitious for she was a teenager.
I did not know that. I did not know. All right, here's the next one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Lost in a dream.
Oh,
I don't know which way to go.
I know this song. Oh gosh, keep going.
Let me tell you that you are all that you seem. Baby, I'm moving
way too slow. It's Paul Abdul. Straight up. I couldn't think of the title.
Okay, so you still got it. It just didn't get it as quickly as you got the other ones. That one took you 4 lines. 4. Wait, let me see. Hold on. Let me get Mr. Disapproval here. Yeah, he's disappointed in you. You still got it. It just it wasn't your best guess. Okay, this is the next and final
one. Lots of pressure.
Oceans apart, day after day. And
Richard Marx, I see you wherever you go, right here waiting.
Yeah, there it is.
Sorry, the title, I'm sorry. I'm not that quick. I have to go through the whole lyrics in my head.
I have to say, I am very impressed. Very impressed. You knocked down all 10 of these songs, almost effortlessly, I would say. Almost.
Well, he is fierce on Twitter, Mr. Marks.
He is. Yeah, you don't want to, if you're a maggot, you don't want to tangle with that man.
By the way, my hair looked like that in the 80s. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I had a fro. Back in the 80s. I miss that. I miss it. As I'm sure you miss your mane as well.
It was just crazy. All that mousse and everything. It's just crazy.
Peter, I gotta say, congratulations to you. You did very well in this guessing game. Much better than I expected. I don't expect anybody to do that well, except, of course, my regular audience, the folks who watch this show on a regular basis. Yeah, they're tough to stump. But this next and final bit for the show is you can't go wrong. It's called My Favorite Things. Raindrops on roses and
water.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and this is going to be rapid fire. Okay, this is to give our audience a feel for who Peter Morley is and what is he like. You ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite cartoon growing up?
Oh God, Josie and the Pussycats.
Favorite TV show?
Oh gosh, Breaking Bad.
Favorite movie?
Oh, well, I'm not going to say Xanadu. Oh, Lord. Oh, that's really tough. You know what? I'm just going to go with Halloween.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween.
Jamie Lee Curtis, original 1978 Halloween, not the Halloween from 2018. No.
You're a horror buff, yeah?
I like a good scare. I'm not into the gore. I like the scare. I like the tension. That's why I like Breaking Bad too.
Breaking Bad is awesome. It's like one of the top 5 all-time shows.
Absolutely.
Favorite kind of music, favorite genre of music?
Well, I mean, obviously 80s. I love R&B too. Love classic Motown.
So you then would love Bruno Mars.
I like some of his stuff.
Bruno Mars is R&B, plus he's kind of has that classic Motown vibe to him now.
I haven't kept up
his last album with Anderson .Paak. Yeah.
I'll check it out because I haven't kept up with contemporary music that much.
It's very good. Trust me. Actually, check out 24 Karat Magic. It's beautiful. You're gonna love it. It's only like, I think it's 7 or 8 songs. It goes like that. Like, but before you know it, like, is that the end of it? I'm gonna play it again. Yeah. Favorite singer or group?
Oh Lord. Like, well, I can go with 2 different ways. I love Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders. But I can also say Steely Dan. I love her.
Good one. I will take both of those because I said singer or group. You gave me a singer and you gave me a group. Although really Chrissie Hynde, she's the Pretenders. Without her, you don't have the Pretenders.
No, she's like the last one. I don't even think the drummer's in the group anymore.
Steely Dan. Oh, Steely Dan is an excellent choice. Yes.
I mean, I love the Michael McDonald, his background
Peg? In Peg?
Peg,
yeah.
Yes, that's correct. That's my favorite album, Asia.
Asia is that is my favorite Steely Dan.
That is my favorite too.
The intro with the what do they call those things where they
times?
Yeah, that. I love it. Okay. Favorite comfort food?
Oh, cheese fries.
Ooh. Oh, now I want to go to Nathan's. Favorite Saturday night hangout?
Oh gosh. I mean, honestly, lately it's just been with my best friend, just hanging out in my living room watching trashy TV.
Nice. I like that.
Dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite Twitter account?
Oh, excluding us, okay?
Yeah, no pressure.
Excluding us, my favorite Twitter account, gosh, I would have to say, oh my gosh, this is a tough one. There's so many.
You got to be careful because whoever you say, I'm going to tell everybody else that, look, Peter, he doesn't love you. Peter doesn't love you. He only loves this one account. That's the only one he loves.
Sophie's choice. I would just because of his information and because he's so thorough, I would have to say Andy Slavitt.
Nice choice. I'm sure he's got a feather in his cap now. Everybody else just go home. Nobody. Peter does not have love for you.
I love you all,
Andy. Favorite sneaker brand?
Converse.
Interesting. I asked you that question because I noticed in a lot of the pictures you got some like stylish kicks on.
And they're like, Converse had this major sale a couple years ago, and I got every color,
all the flavors,
everyone, and I love them.
Favorite politician?
Oh my God! You know what? I have to say Ron Wyden, because he has always like stopped whatever he was doing if there was a healthcare emergency, and he's always supported my advocacy. There's actually a Peter Morley caucus, like a Peter Morley caucus, not a real Peter Morley caucus in the Senate, and he started it, and it's very humbling. He's also the most powerful Democrat in the Congress because he controls the money.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Ron Wyden.
Yeah, Ron Wyden, great man. His wife owns the Strand bookstore, by the way.
Oh, right there in University. Wait,
Yep.
is that University
Yep.
in 10th?
No,
It's right by Forbidden Planet.
It's Broadway. But you're right. I was with you in the university. Broadway and 11, 12, one of those.
Around there. Yeah. Right by my comic book store. Okay. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Honestly, it would be in Malibu. I would just love
California.
to be on the beach all the time. The weather is beautiful, and yeah. I mean, this is if I could live, that would mean that I would be able to afford it and all that.
Right.
Like I could live on the street, but
in California they say you live to you live to pay rent or something like that. Like the rents are outrageous. That's what I hear. If you could do any job for a day, for one day, what would that be?
Oh boy. It would probably be like in a cookie factory, so I could like sample like all the different doughs. I love that.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. I love it. All right. Last but not least, I have. Are there any particular charities or foundations or organizations that are close to your heart or that you support? Now is your chance to shout them out.
Yes, I support Lupus Foundation of America, and I also support Sophia's Choice Voice. Sorry, I say voice. I was thinking
T-shirt you had.
Yes, and Natalie Weaver, whose daughter Sophia passed away in 2019. She started a foundation for children who are disfigured. I don't know. I hope I'm using the right word. But it's just such a wonderful thing that she does. She provides like medical equipment for people who can't afford it, and it's really just a great thing that she does. Natalie has the biggest heart of anyone that I've ever met, and I always my dream was always to meet Sophia in person. I never did, but I feel like I do with all the people that I've shared stories with in Congress, is that I carry her in my heart, and Natalie, of course. So.
Well, Peter, I want to thank you for sharing that with us, and I want to thank you for sharing you with us. This has been a fantastic interview. Once again, I said this is only my second time interviewing someone on this show. I couldn't have asked for a better guest. Thank you so much for joining me here on Storytime with BDD. I do have your Twitter handle up there, right? Is that correct?
It's right.
And I have this is your website, morethanmysle.com. You can find, you can reach Peter here. You can follow his tweets here on Twitter. And thank you once again for joining us here. I really hope that you are able to continue spending your time and your energy on behalf of those people who don't have voices. Use your voice, continue to do that. And I look forward to seeing you out there on the Twitter.
Well, just before we go, I'll just say this little monster was behind me the whole time, and
She's so quiet.
I know, you're so quiet. She's a great watchdog, because that was somebody in my hall when she was growling before. But
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
she'll become a little monster after this is over. But she's I've done a lot of Zoom videos with members of Congress, and she's always behind me, and she knows this is the time where she has to zip her lip, and then she gets crazy after. So she knows the drill. And but thank you for having me. Thank you for having us, and thank you for everything you do, because your voice resonates with so many people. And you were just so incredibly fierce, and just
defiant.
Yes, you really truly inspired me. And I think if people asked me, you would definitely be my top 5, if not top 3, of people who shaped my advocacy. And I'll never forget that, and I'll always appreciate that. And I'm so humbled and grateful for your support.
I am honored by that, Peter. I mean that. I would even take top 10, from you.
You're definitely up there, way up there, way up there. You're with me from the beginning.
Peter, thank you once again for joining me here, joining us on Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. And if you have not yet gotten your shot, please remember to do so. Get your vaccine, get your booster. If you still feel so inclined, wear your mask, keep your social distance 6 feet or better. And I look forward to seeing you guys Monday, same time, same place. I love you all. Peace. Story time.